Hi, I'm Allie, and I'm living chronic faith. Thanks for stopping by. If you and I were standing at an intersection, waiting for the don't walk sign to switch to walk, and I looked at you and said, be sure to look both ways before you cross the street. It's pretty good advice, right? And even though that advice was specifically for you, for a specific situation at a specific time, if the person standing next to us heard and took that same advice, it could benefit them, right? Or maybe you think about that advice years later when you're at a different intersection and it comes back to mind and it reminds you to look both ways before you cross the street. Still beneficial, right? We see that happen a lot in the Word of God. Paul, an apostle, wrote many letters to many different people, including church bodies. And even though those letters that he wrote to them were meant for a specific audience at a specific time, the wisdom in those letters is still relevant. That's the thing about wisdom. It never goes out of style. And so we find words of Paul that are so relevant to us thousands of years later in a totally different society and totally different situation. Here's one example. In the Word of God, we find these words that Paul wrote to the church at Colossae. Devote yourselves to prayer, being watchful and thankful. So simple, but so rich. He's not talking about saying a prayer before you eat, or saying a prayer before you go to bed, or even saying a prayer when there's an emergency situation going on. He's talking about a constant line of communication being open between you and God. It's almost like that text thread that you have with your bestie, where you never really have to say hello or goodbye, because it's just an ongoing conversation. This is what Paul is encouraging the church at Colossae then and us now to do, that we are intentional about inviting God into every conversation, into every circumstance, into everything that we do, so that we are constantly consulting him for guidance and for him to lead us in the way that is going to be best for us. Devote yourselves to prayer. Be intentional about keeping that line of communication open with God. Then he says, being watchful. Certainly, we want to be situationally aware. We want to know what's going on around us. We want to be wise in the things that we do. But I believe that here he's also speaking about using discernment, making sure that we are asking God, show me what you want me to see. Show me what I need to know and understand about this situation, and help me to follow the leading that you're giving me. So not just watching with our natural eyes, but being watchful with our spiritual eye, trusting the Lord to lead us into the right situation and out of the ones that are not going to serve us well. And then he says, being watchful and thankful. We can all benefit from being thankful, because gratitude, not only does it give God glory, which is part of what we're here to do, but it also reminds us of all the times that he has done the absolutely impossible for us. It reminds us of all the ways that he's made, of all the things that he's provided, all the doors that he's opened. And that is going to build our faith for the next leg of the journey. So even though this letter was written to the church at Colossae many, many years ago, these words are still relevant for us. So let us lean into this wisdom of the Apostle Paul that reminds us, devote yourselves to prayer, being watchful and thankful. I love you. I'm praying for you, and I'll talk to you soon. Have a great one. Living Chronic Faith is a faith-first community of believers living with chronic medical conditions and the loved ones who support them. For more support, encouragement, and resources, join the membership for free at www.livingchronicfaith.com.